Welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mystic Raven. And as promised, today I will be going over my Templar Healer build. Okay, since the Morrowind updates and everything, and what I do with my Templar Healer. Okay, so it's very important to realize, guys, I play every class healers. Alright? I played every class with healers. And Templar was always my last one, because it's kind of a novice build, because it has so much flexibility for me. It's a great healer. The most flexible healer in the game, because it has a lot of flexibility. It just has, the Templar has so much flexibility, like there's no one wrong way to put the Templar together. It depends on what you're trying to do for the Templar. But Morrowind has changed a lot of things. I will be going over that today. And hopefully it kind of puts a little bit of perspective. And then after this video, I will be posting another video. And I'm going to put certain rumors to bed. So we'll cover this. Now, a disclaimer, this is a pretty cookie cut standard of the Templar. So I don't want people to think that I'm trying to take their other people's builds. It's pretty standard. It's just, it's pretty friggin' cookie, to be honest with you guys. So there's the disclaimer. It's just out there. But I'll go over what options I do and what I do for my rotations and what I switch out and all the little things and tricks and shit. So, okay, so first thing I want to go ahead and do is go into the character sheet. Okay, so my max magicka is slightly under 40,000, and this is, I think, Resto side. It's at 39,858. This is a Resto Destro. Magical recovery on this side is 1,457. I usually try to stay between 1,400 and 1,500 with the Morrowind changes. My max health is slightly under. Not too bad, though, considering, it's 19.3. It's doable. It's not a problem. And spell recovery is at 56%. I always like to stay around the 55 area, so everything looks good. And to the left, you'll see max magic is allocated at 52 points, health is at 12, and the Mundus, we're running the thief, and we're running max magic and max health food. Okay, now this is a vampire, so disclaimer. This is the staff side, and of course, you're going to see on this one, our magic recovery bumps up to 1,555. Max magic is around the same, and so is the health, and so is the crit percentage. Just our regen goes up. I'll explain why. So first off, let's get into the skills, and I did save one thing to show you guys something, so we will be covering this, but let's go into the skills. Okay, Resto side. Now, when I'm on a 4-man, I always have Healing Ward. You all know this if you watch me. I always mitigate when necessary. Healing Ward does this for me. And for anybody who's not familiar with what Healing Ward does, it calls on the staff strength to protect you or the lowest health ally around you with a shield that absorbs 5,821 damage, also healing the target for 2,688 health. The shield strength is increased by 300%, depending on the severity of the target's wounds. When the shield expires, the target is healed for 119% of the ward's remaining strength. This is my oh shit button. It saves me a lot of time not having to res people, so I can just go ahead, throw the shield, put down my heals, weave up, whatever I have to do. But in a trial, I do not use this, especially on the Templar. It's overkill. I never have to use this in a trial, ever. And even on my other healers, I usually don't run ward. But in 4-mans, I do. So I do switch out a few things. I'll usually pop in something else in placement of this. But I'll always be using Healing Springs regardless, and on all my healers. It's one of the lowest healing abilities, but the biggest thing about it is I restore 338 magicka for each friendly target in the initial area, and I can just stack up the hots. So to me, this is a real great ability, and sometimes I'll kind of play with it, but I'll usually keep it barred up. As a healer, I'm always, and every healer I'm ever running, I'm running Combat Prayer. I never go home without it. Why? Because it slams my staff down. I activate its blessing. It heals me and allies for 5,347 health. I also buff everybody with Minor Berserk, Minor Resolve, Minor Ward. That increases the damage done by 8% and gives them physical and spell resistance increased by 1,320. So I never leave home without this. Of course, we're all aware I am a Templar. I'm going to be slotting Breath of Life, right, guys? Plain and simple. So, Breath of Life is great. It heals for 9,954 health. And You know, also heals another injured ally for 4,978. It's great. Great heal. Great heal. It's a little, you know, whatever. It can be abused at times, but, you know, I love this heal just for, oh shit. Remembrance. I use Remembrance in 4-mans, right? But in trials, I'll usually switch out with Barrier for the extra recovery for long durated fights. So usually that's the only thing I'll switch. So 4-mans, I'll stick with the Remembrance. In my trials for long durated fights, I'll slot the Barrier. Why? I'm getting that 10% extra regen, because everybody knows I'm never going to use Barrier unless absolutely necessary, because I'm going to be using Warhorn. But in 4-mans, Remembrance is really good. So I usually keep to the Remembrance in a 4-man, right? Now, this changes up, guys. So I'm on the Inferno staff. During 4-mans, I typically won't run Ellie Drain. In trials, I do. So I'll switch out Purifying Light for my Ellie Drain. Plain and simple. Unless somebody else is running it, and then usually I'll even switch up my gear. Okay, because then I can put like a monster set like Choke Thorns or something on there, and I can go Sword and Board on the back end and use my spell power cure, AOE effect to keep the spell power cure up. But in most standards, Resto Destro, you're going to switch out Purifying Light for Ellie Drain. But I like Purifying Light in 4-mans because what it does is summons an expanding beam of pure sunlight to doom an enemy, dealing 3,083 magic damage to them and copying their damage taken by 6%, or taken by 6 seconds, and releasing 20% as an additional damage. The max on this build is 23,915. But this is why I use it. I don't really care about dealing damage as a healer, but it's the secondary effect that I like because it usually goes towards on the tank, because the tank's tanking. When the effect ends, a pool of sunlight remains attached to the enemy, healing you and nearby allies for 2,737 health every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. This is just cushion. It's just cushion. It's dealing a little damage, and it's keeping cushion. That's why I like it. I don't usually use it. I don't use this in trials either. So Barrier and this never get used. I'll use the Ellie Drain, and I'll swap out another healing effect for the Barrier. But for this, I use it in 4-mans. All right. Okay, Spear Shards. This hasn't been morphed, and I'm about to show you why, because I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go to Adaric Spears. We're going to go to Spear Shards. I want to discuss the morph options here, guys. So we have Luminous Shards, right? The synergy grants additional resources. Now let's scroll down here. Now this is my utility. I don't use orbs on my Templar. It's not necessary. I use shards. Okay, they both have a GCD now, and usually if one person's running this, I'll offset it. And I usually don't use my Templar as much as any of my other healers. But when I use him, the only reason I'm using for Ellie Drain, that's why I bring the Templar along. Let's talk about the shards. Okay, if I go ahead and use Luminous Shards, it's going to go ahead, deal 3,395 magic damage to enemies in the area, and additional 597 magic damage every 1 second for 8 seconds. Now, here's the deal, guys. When an ally activates the Holy Shard energy, it restores 3,906 magicka or stamina, whichever max is higher for that, class. They also restore an additional 1,980 magicka or stamina, which maximum is lower. Blazing Spears doesn't do this. It doesn't get the secondary effect. Both get the same 3,960, right? But Blazing doesn't, just increases the damage now. Blazing's the weaker version if you're going to use utility. So Luminous Shards now is the way to go if you're going to be running this as a strict utility. So everybody used to run Blazing Spears. Why? Because it gave more stamina. It's changed now, guys. So it doesn't pay for me to use this. I can still use it as a utility, but if I'm running a Magicka DPS, I'd be using the Blazing Spears. And I do on my DPS version of this character. But if I'm running straight heals, I'm always going to go with Luminous, because I'm going to get that secondary effect towards utility. So I'm always going to bank it. And I really wanted to go over that and show you guys. So, basically, the Blazing Spears, no longer really the case, even if it's going to be a utility for stam users. Luminous all the way. Given the fact that I'm using the shards, I don't need the orbs. Okay? Then also we're going to go with, of course, the Ritual of Retribution. What this does is it exalts the sacred light in cleansing up to 2 harmful effects for nearby allies and yourself. Also heals 1,368 health every 2 seconds for 12 seconds. The light also burns enemies with holy vengeance, dealing 1,272 magic damage every 2 seconds for 12 seconds. I think you guys are kind of going see where I'm going with this. So a lot of my resto heal abilities are on the one side, but I got damaging healing effects right here with between these 3. So that's kind of where I go and how I slot it. It's just an easy way for me to remember. Now, if you don't like this configuration, you can change it up. That's fine, and that's the nice thing about Templar healers. Very, very, very flexible. That's probably one of the best thing about Templar healers. Just the flexibility it has. It has a lot of flexibility towards your layout. Excuse me. So also we're going to go ahead. I like the Radiant Aura. The reason I like the Radiant Aura, I don't have to wait for shit to die to get a bonus or whatever. I'm going to get minor fortitude, minor endurance, minor intellect, and also I'm going to get a boost to my health, stamina, and magic recovery while it's slotted. That recovery is very important for me. That's why you see the recovery boost on my Destro side, because I put this on that side. But whenever I go ahead and activate it, I can, me and my allies restore 300 magicka every second when damaging, whatever. You add that with LE Drain and, shards. It's pretty beast. That's what the Templar is good at. The Templar is the best utility healer, hands down. When it comes to utilities, that's what the Templar brings to the table. Is it the best healer? No. Next video I have coming out directly after this, I will show you why. But best utility healer, hands down, Templar. Do you need 2 Templars in a trial? Absolutely not. You only need 1, right? That's it. That's all you ever needed. But it's a great healer. It's flexible, has a lot of options. Of course, I'm going to be running Inner Light on both bars, and then of course I have the Regressive Warhorn. It's pretty standard. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and get into the gear, and you guys can see what I'm wearing. You guys know what I'm wearing right now. So, all right, so I have the Spell Power Cure Resto Staff in Sharpen, Glyph Restore. For me, this is Sharpen. It's supposed to be powered. The game just hates me at this moment, so I don't have a powered staff, but I have a Sharpen. So, Spell Power Cure, Resto Staff, Sharpen. I also have the Unbroken, which is the Spell Power Cure Inferno Staff. That's Sharpen. That's intentional, because if I need to switch out with the abilities and the whatever, it helps for the damage. So, and of course, Spell Power Cure, we all know what it does. 933 max magicka, 933 max magicka, spell damage. When I heal a friendly target that is 100% health, you have 50% chance to increase their weapon and spell damage by 249 for 10 seconds. Also, we got the Worm set. Okay, so the Worm, what this does is it adds spell damage, max magicka, recovery, reduces the cost of your magical abilities by 4% for you up to you and 11 other group members within 28 meters of you. So one of the things that this is what I use in a trial if nobody has a Templar with LE Drain. This is my backup healer for that reason alone. But because the DK and the Nightblade, I don't run Destro, right? But with this, I have the Destro, and I also have it on my Sword Healer. So I have LA Drain on those two. So I can, swap out. It all depends. Everything's situational for me, depending on what the group's needing. And the Worm set is a complement, because usually I'll run a Twilights on the DK. I'll run Necro to maximize the heal amount. So everybody's set up different, how their heals are. But I love the Worm. You can run Lich. You can for recovery. You can run Warlock for recovery. A lot of flexibility. You can run trial sets. If you don't want to use Worm, you can even run trial sets. This is what makes the Templar such a great healer, is flexibility. Other healing classes don't have the flexibility that the Templar has and the utilities that it offers a party. So this is what makes the Templar such a diverse healer. Okay, so it's great. I like the Templar healer. You're never going to see a trial without a Templar Healer, at least one. Unless you're running a Magicka DPS Templar who's using shards, but it's not going to have the as potent of as effect. I will get into that conversation next week with the Warden, but there that is. Okay, and also I have the Spell Power Cure set. This is in Divine. This is supposed to be infused, but right now I have a Divine. I have 3 Spell Power Cure Jerkins, all Divine. I can't get it infused for nothing, I swear to God. Also, I'm running Inferno Guardian Shoulders just for the Max Magicka. That's glyphed with health. That's medium. And the reason why I want at least one piece of this is to maintain the Undaunted bonus of 4%. I'm already giving up 2% by not running a set, but that's why my health is a little low, but it makes it worth it, though, because I can maximize my magic pool. And if you wanted to still use Master Staff, Healing Staff, you can do that. You would just go ahead and put the Spell Power Cure Shoulders in Divine, which I do have somewhere. I have the worm here, but I think it's in my bank. But you can put Spell Power Cure Shoulders there and then run the Master Staff. If you want to keep with that and then run the Master Inferno Staff. That's completely doable, right? If you want to do that. Also, I have the Waste of the Worm, Divine, Max Magicka. This is not intended. This is actually supposed to be Divine, and this is why this is supposed to be infused. So I'm supposed to have infused here, and I'm supposed to have Divine here to maintain my 56% crit and to bump up my Max Magicka. That's it. That's all I'm losing. Other than that, it's fine. Also, I have Breachers of the Worm infused. That's intended. Max Magicka. And Shoes of the Worm Cult Divine Max Magicka. I know it's not gold. I don't use this one a lot, but you know, I'll upgrade it. I also have the Worm Necklace Recovery. And that's... and then I have Spell Power Cure Ring Max Magicka. Magicka Recovery. And now here's the deal. I am a vampire. And I know that. So I'm using the blue Spell Power Cure Ring. Why? Because it's got flame resistance on it. So I can't completely negate all the negative effects. So being a vampire, and especially running a trial, I want that extra low cushion. So I'm going with flame resistance. And because I'm going to use flame resistance, I'm just going with the blue Spell Power Cure Ring versus the purple. Okay, so that's the only reason I do that. Okay, I mean, I could put more spell damage on there if it was purple, and you can do that. That's fine if you feel comfortable with it. But this is a Breton, this is not a Dunmer, so I need that extra cushion on flame resistance. So that's why I do that. All right, so we've gone over the gear, we've gone over the skills. Now keep in mind it's flexible. I can change in and out things as needed. Now here's the big deal. I'm going to go over the champion points. Once again, everything's kind of changed, so we'll go over this. Bless, 75 points, 14%. Never going to go full 15 to the 100. The 25 points for the diminishing return is not worth it. To me, it's not even worth it, guys. But I'm going to take advantage of my critical heals, so I'm going to take Elfborn up to about 19%. Now, I do have Sharpen, and I do also have Penetration with Light Armor, but keep in mind my back bar, I'm going to be running a damaging effects, so I'm going to put a little bit more into Spell Erosion for 1,815. Now keep in mind they're going to be adding Major Fracture, Major Breach, and Minor Fracture, Minor Breach. That's going to affect my DPS on those abilities, but my primary role still remains healer, so I don't necessarily care about my damage output as much as my healing capabilities. But since that is, I am going to be dealing a little bit of damage, I put Elemental Expert up to 6.85 to increase that magic damage. Also, we're going to be using Staff Expert because I weave a shitload, but the resto staff, when I do heavy end weaves, I'm healing it for a percentage of that damage. So I want to take Staff Expert up as high as I can go, especially with this, because the heals are already set. So I'm going to take it up to 21.15. Also, I have a few points remaining, so I put 2 points for 1% into Master of Arms, and of course, nothing is in the Ritual. Over here, it's all about damage mitigation, right? So the Warrior is where we're going to mitigate a lot of damage. Ironclad, we're going 15.72. Just going to reduce the direct damage. I didn't put any in the thick skin because I'm a healer, and not a lot of mechanics I've ever seen runs dots. So usually I can purify dots as a Templar, so I'm not usually concerned with any type of dot damage. But I am a vampire, remember, so we're going to take Elemental Defender up 14. I'll never go 15. Once again, diminishing returns. It's just, to me, it's not even worth it. Typically, I would negate all of it with the 25%, but since I no longer can do that, that's why I lift the ring with the flame resistance. Now with the hardy, I'm going up to 11.25 because even though I'm reducing direct damage, this is going to reduce all base damage with physical, poison, and disease. So I'm going to take that up to 11.25. Now I typically don't run a lot of shields with the Templar, but when I'm in a 4-man, I do run the healing ward. So I only take Bastion up to 11.35, knowing that in trials I'm never going to really use it. But when I'm in a 4-man, I will, and if I do decide to slot barrier, it adds to that effect. So there I just put Bastion up to 11.35. It's not like the DK healer where it mitigates a lot of damage. But now since I am a vampire and I am a healer, I want to continue to keep my heals up on myself, so I put a quick recovery at 5.46. You can make this adjustment if you feel that you're not going to be using Bastion and pump this up a little bit more. That is a personal call. So keep in mind there is margin for error, and there's a lot of, once again, flexibility in the Templar builds, depending on what you're doing. Warlord reduces the cost to break freeze by 11.35. I just don't like to get stunned, hemmed up in a mechanic, and then people die just because, you know, I'm CC'd. So I just put that up to 11.35. We're going to go ahead and take Arcanist once again up to 14%. This is usually standard towards all Magicka builds, you know, 14%. I never go 15. Why? 25 points, diminishing returns. Once again, not worth it. Tenacity, I can go ahead and take up to 12.45. Remember, I'm weaving a lot, so what this does for me is just goes ahead and helps restore as I'm weaving. So I would take that up there. Healthy, I'm at 11.25 for health recovery. So once again, I'm a vampire. I can't completely negate all the negative effects, but I want to try to negate as much as possible. But essentially, I am healing myself, so that offsets the difference. And of course, I have nothing into the thief. So there's the champion points, how it's laid out. All right, guys, so remember, in 4-mans, I don't run Ellie Drain, but in trials, I will go ahead and take the Purifying Light, take that off, and, you know, take off, and I usually, like, when I take a look at, like, restoring, whatever, I might go ahead and put the Retribution. Retribution for me is pretty good. I don't like the 1.5 second cast, but I really, in a trial, it comes in handy. So I might go ahead and slot something like that, or maybe take Mutagen, rearrange Breath of Life over here. Something simple like that, and just get the Ellie Drain in. So there is, you know, flexibility there. So it all depends. But when I'm in an instance or a 4-man, it's just like go, 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 run, 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 run. In trials, you're a little bit more organized. You have the other healer, you know, calling out what they're running. You can offset those differences. Makes it really nice, flexible. So I'm going to see what the dailies are. Once again, I don't know. But oh my gosh. White gold. I actually like that. Once again, I'll probably get a hold of a couple of my friends. Maybe we'll do that. Banish cells. I think that's 2. Same end boss, so you never know until. Yeah, it's 2. No. I'm always hitting this thing. Oh, it's 1.
Death has not the vault.
In Vaults of Madness. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go to Active Finder. Okay, so Banish Cells 1. And Vaults of Madness. Now, of course, I'm going to switch my role. Reapply my food. Yeah, guys, you know, like I said, the one thing that I've always done, especially in the past, I've told everybody I was a former elitist in MMOs. And one of the things I always did was, if not gear up, not necessarily gear up, but play every class so I could know what to be expecting. And I did have a lot of characters in most of the games because I like flex. Do not need to be in there, but I like flexibility, right, guys? A lot of flexibility. And being one of the officers, if not the leader for guilds, I really always wanted to have the knowledge of what each class should be doing. Now, that's another thing, like, depending on how you like your rotation, you might switch out your shards, you know, over one. Like I said, it's all about, like, what you feel with your layout. For me, personally, I like this layout. It works out nice for me. Okay. Like, when I throw out shards, sometimes it's not even sometimes necessarily for the utility, but like I said, I get like a little bit of a damaging effect, which is nice. He's just pulling everything. All right. Now, on boss encounters, this is when I definitely want to pay attention to my rotation a little bit better. Because what I want to do is get in there. Keep all the buffs up as much as possible. Keep all my utilities up. Somebody hit it.
There are easier ways to prove your bravery, mortal. Turn back, or you'll share the Keeper's fate.
Okay, he blew, so I'll wait. I definitely want to keep that purifying light up as much as possible. Because after it, remember, after it ticks off, it's going to leave that healing pool, guys. Okay. Definitely need to activate the buff indicators on this tune. Get off me. I'm gonna blow it. Pointless. Thing's dead. Trying to activate that synergy. Ah, whatever. Oh my. No, not that one. I hate when the synergies keep layering over it.
See to him.
By the Imperial light.
Has he been slain?
Are you satisfied, sir? I'm eager to pursue the High Kingdom.
Okie day.
I need you to heal him. But Immeril is still unaccounted for. We'll need her to face Lilith.
I guess he's just running through and dragging. Okay. I'm trying to figure out where he's getting ready to set up here. Oh shit, wrong button. A lot of training shit. What the hell, man?
We found her.
I see her. So she lives. We'll need her before the day is done.
She's going to the camp for a bit of restoration.
Oh shit! Wrong button. That's my fault. I tried to switch and hit the wrong button. Oh shit. Well, my tank's pretty good though. I will say that. Alright. It's pretty beast, guys. I always let my tank go first. He's like, my bad. Not really. I mean, if I was on the right bar, it would have been all good. It's not really his fault. He's pulling good. He felt comfortable. Man, I should have been on the right side, paying attention. I want to hit that. Okay. There's that. It's go time. Clean up the ads, hit the scroll. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Shit. Wrong bar again. Just having one of those days, guys. Ah! No! That's what I want. Everybody kind of panicked, like, about the changes. Really not that bad. Really wasn't. Now hopefully somebody gets the ball. This was bugged yesterday, so I'm hoping this isn't the case. It is. Oh my god, why? We might not be able to do this scroll. He won't come out. Devs, you know, take note, man. That's a major problem. Now, as you guys can see, I'm getting hit by fire. With that fire resist glyph, along with the 14, just the way to go, man. I don't know if we can do this at this point, to be honest with you guys. Yeah, he'll blast you. Once again, this is kind of where I like the barrier. Situations like this. Up, wrong button. I don't know if dude's vampire, so he blew, so I'm gonna hit the remembrance. Once again, I'll switch that out sometimes on trials for my barrier. Get that extra increase. How in the hell? Oh. No! Hate when you're going to hit the res and that screen comes up like that. Shit. Res is pending. Offline. Something was going down. Looks like we're three-manning this. Let's see if I can get him up. There we go. Alright, we got through it. I don't like it that... What? Infuse, shut up! Oh my god! Slick! Slick! Yes! That's so badass! That's so fucking badass! Love it, love it, love it. Oh, that's so badass. Alright, guys. So, there it is. Yeah, it is. It's glitched. Devs, you guys gotta do something about that. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, the Templar Healer. Flexible. One of the most flexible healers in the game. I'm never going to say anything negative about the Templar Healer. Then most people have misconceptions about Templar Healer and other healing classes. And I should know, I play every one of them. Every healer. Every one of them. So, stay tuned. If you guys want to see some proof of some shit, I'm going to be calling out somebody specifically. He opened his mouth. He has an ass kicking coming to him with math and everything else. If you want to watch something interesting, stay tuned, guys. Promise you, it's going to be interesting. But here it is, Templar Healer build for Morrowind. Remember, you don't have to go with this. If you don't want to go with the Worm, you can switch out. You can go with Warlock. You can go with Lich. You can even run up some interesting mitigating sets like Combat's Physician. You can use trial sets like Twilight's Remedy. Templar has complete flexibility, so keep that in mind. You can't go wrong with how you want to build up the Templar. It has more flexibility than any other healer. You can go in different directions. So there it is, guys. Pretty much said and done. I want to thank everybody for watching, and once again and always, have a nice day.